This week's lame duck, number 75. Let's go ahead and start quacking.
First things first, in this lame duck session.
For the United Nations General Assembly to share the extraordinary progress we've made. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough.
I started having second thoughts almost the moment I sat down on the plane.
Lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready? Turn.
We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
So I changed my return flight and flew back on the first available flight I could take.
I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced.
I'm tired of being quiet.
I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
With great power comes great responsibility.
These lights are so bright in my eyes that I can't see too many people out there. But I can only see the black ones. I can't see any white ones. You see? That's how far I've come. That's how far I've come. That's a long way, isn't it? These eyes. You want to see a bird graveyard? You just go. Take a look. A bird graveyard? Go under a windmill someday. You'll see more birds than you've ever seen ever in your life.
Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, I think I speak for most Democrats right now when I say
Moments ago, we learned that Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer, who is the Democratic leader in the Senate, he caved and he said that he's going to support a vote in favor of cloture, which would then move on to the next step to allow a vote by majority in the Senate to vote on the continuing resolution.
Yesterday, as Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer tried to convince us that the Republicans did not have the votes to pass a government spending bill because no Democrat would support it and they didn't have enough Republican senators that would do it. I remember looking at my wife, who doesn't even pay attention to politics, saying, yes, they do. They're going to pass it. First off, you can count on Chuck Schumer to pass it. Why? Because we know he is not tough enough to stand up to him. That's why Republicans have been emboldened to do half of the nonsense that they do. I'm very curious to see who all passes this thing, as this thing has key cuts to programs that millions of Americans benefit from. And we will record everyone that passes this resolution.
Y'all a bunch of bitches.
Y'all's a bunch of bitches. Later, nerds.
I'm trying to get a bunch of bitches to kneel.
Senate Democrats, shut it down.
Chuck Schumer is a shield for MAGA. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi is everything wrong with the Democratic Party.
Chuck Schumer, I guess the Senate Democratic leader, your senator, that he is going to vote for cloture. He is going to vote to allow there to be a simple majority vote. You think that's wrong?
I believe that's a tremendous mistake. Yes.
Why?
I think, well, first and foremost, the American people, if anyone has held a town hall or has seen what has been happening in town halls, American people, whether they are Republicans, Independents, Democrats, are up in arms about Elon Musk and the actual gutting of federal agencies across the board. This continuing resolution codifies much of this chaos that Elon Musk is wreaking havoc on the federal government. It codifies many of those changes. It sacrifices and completely eliminates congressional authority in order to review these impulsive Trump Trump tariffs that he's switching on and off. For folks who are concerned about effectiveness in government, this Republican extreme spending bill removes all of the guardrails and all of the accountability measures to ensure that money is being spent in the way that Congress has directed for it to be spent. This turns the federal government into a slush fund for Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Shut it down.
Chuck, they ain't never played fair. And it's time for us to act like it. And if you can't man up, move the hell out the way. Let somebody else do it.
I don't think that they think that there's going to be an election in 2028. Because why in the would you do something like that when you know damn well we don't stand with it at all? Your Democratic constituents have made it crystal clear that we do not align with this spending bill.
Yeah, the Democratic Party is cooked. Chuck Schumer, I saw what you said. John Fetterman, I saw what you said. You guys are little bitches.
Y'all, let's just be real here. How long are we going to continue to pretend as if John Fetterman is one of us? He is not a Democrat. He is not a Democrat. To use their acronym, he's a dino. Democrat in name only.
You guys are going to vote with Republicans on a dog shit piece of fucking legislation to keep the government funded that you had no input on after talking that shit yesterday.
See, this is why, I don't trust majority of white liberals, and y'all showing our face. You are the worst.
Why would you pass this? Oh, that paycheck's very important to you. Screw us. You need your paycheck. You said you would fight for us. You gave us your word you would not pass this. Keep it or resign. Any spineless Democrat, that includes you, Fetterman, that goes with this should be primaried and eliminated if we get a chance to do it. Shut it down. Make the GOP, make the red hats do right. We know that you'll get blamed somehow because people with less than 2 brain cells will think it's your fault despite the fact that Republicans have the majority. Do not give them what they want. If you comply, you will get blamed. I get it. It's a no-win situation for you anyways. So at least be on the right side of history. Do not pass this bill. Make them do right by their people.
To monitor this breaking news that is now coming out. The Senate has officially passed the funding bill averting a government shutdown.
The fact that we've gotten to this point is very frustrating and saddens me. I've gone back and forth on this thing 3 times because it is 2 horrible choices.
Right now, I am looking at the options. I've got constituents who are seriously concerned about the power grab of this administration.
It's like, are you going to shut the government down? Or are you just going to say, hey, I disagree with many parts about the CR, but it's like that's where we are.
The funding bill passed the House Tuesday night in a 217 to 213 vote. One Democrat voted for the stopgap bill. One Republican voted against it. And the bill increases defense spending and cuts domestic spending. It also allocates more money for immigration enforcement and veterans health care.
Schumer, bring your ass to the front. What are you doing? You said on the congressional floor that you would not pass this bill. You said the Dems, Senate Dems, would not back what the GOP presented because it's not good for the people. Not just us, your constituent, but for their people. And now you're turning around and saying you'll back it because we can't give DJT the keys to the castle. He already has it. What do you mean? He took it illegally. And now you want to give it to him legally?
Chuck, I'm not going to put this shit on your age. You know why? Because you're from damn Brooklyn. My mother was from Fort Greene, and my 93-year-old grandmother, who's in Fort Greene right now, is telling your ass to shut shit down. This is the same damn woman who had to listen to a man who didn't look like her tell her to go drink at another damn water fountain. And you want to back down because you said that you wasn't going to vote for this damn CR bill, and then this mother effer said this about you?
The Democrats have to get their act together. And if they don't vote, people are going to blame the Democrats. And Schumer is a Palestinian as far as I'm concerned. He's become a Palestinian. He used to be Jewish. He's not Jewish anymore.
And now your ass folded.
It seems to me that Chuck Schumer made this decision because he doesn't have faith in the Democratic Party messaging. And that is an indictment, not only on the party, but on the members of the House on the other side that have said they got your back. And that's essentially what they're saying. AOC's comment was that she felt betrayed and Democrats felt betrayed. I mean, I don't know what conversations Senator Schumer had with the House leadership, but if he didn't feel that they had their back, they clearly do. And so for him to take this position is really stunning, because if Ryan's reporting is correct, if I heard him right, he's saying that Chuck wants to be able to vote yes before he votes no.
The federal government has been taken over by a nihilist. Donald Trump in 2 months has taken a blowtorch to our country and wielded chaos like a weapon. He wants full control over government spending. Leads us to a decision. And it's not really a decision, it's a Hobson's choice. Either proceed with the bill before us or risk Donald Trump throwing America into the chaos of a shutdown. This, in my view, is no choice at all. While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse. For sure, the Republican bill is a terrible option. It is not a clean CR. It is deeply partisan. It doesn't address far too many of this country's needs. But I believe allowing Donald Trump to take even much more power via a government shutdown is a far worse option.
For you to get up there and tell us that giving these people a blank check and basically unchecked power again is better than shutting down the government, I feel like you think we're all a little slow.
The keys to the city, state, and country. A shutdown would give Donald Trump the keys to the city, the state, and the country.
So when you're explaining you're losing, this is not a point where you should go out and explain. This should be a visceral gut reaction to what Donald Trump is doing. And on the House side, they've got that. They've got that because they saw Congressmember Green leave in protest from the House and 10 Democratic members of Congress vote to censure him. So you've got grassroots folks in the party saying, how can our party do that when somebody that we saw stand up to the president was sort of, left the chamber? We should be supporting more activity like that, not bowing down to the guy. And so the grassroots reads this as a capitulation, as a bow down. And for Hakeem Jeffries to come out and say, I start thinking about new leadership, that is a major, major statement from him.
He is the wrong man at the wrong time. And I think a lot of Democrats know that. And so I'm just looking at the battlefield. I'm just looking at the legislative battlefield. Donald Trump, the Republican Party, MAGA, whatever you want to call them, have the House. They have the Senate, they have the White House, they have the majority, they have a unitary government. They put together a piece of legislation that the opposition party, by its political instincts or its philosophical position, could not get behind. So it's incumbent on the majority to get that passed. And yet the majority wanted to flip a narrative by putting up a little poster a couple of days ago on Twitter of the Schumer shutdown. And that scared him. That scared him. He didn't have a narrative, a counter narrative to the Schumer shutdown. He didn't have a counter narrative to the idea that they were going to take their majority and blame you for what they wanted to do. Because at the end of the day, we already have on record Republicans saying they were okay with shutting down the government. Okay. You don't need my votes. Right? That's the political strategy for the Democrats. What do you need us for? Well, you got members saying shut it down. We go work it out with them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There he is. There he is. That's him right there. Put the spotlight on this turncoat of a Democrat, this friggin' MAGA supporting, don't know what time of day it is, Chuck Schumer, number 75. Trash bag human of the week. MD, what do you think of this trash bag human being, Chuck Schumer?
Yeah, man. It's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate. For him to say what he said on Wednesday, saying that Republicans didn't have the votes in the Senate to pass it. That was promising. You had the Federal Workers Union that key word, Venkat, union, came out and wrote a letter to Senate Democrats and told them to shut it down. That's how defiant, not just the government, but the people were against this bill, this quote unquote continuing resolution, which really wasn't a continuing resolution because it was all kind of cuts in the bill. A continuing resolution is going forward with the same amount of funding so we can get more time to reconvene and politic around a new budget. But they implemented cuts in a quote unquote continuing resolution. Where you do that at? That's crazy. The Federal Workers Union came out and said, look, just shut it down. We would rather have that than continue to have the guts that MAGA and Doge has been doing these past couple of months. We would just rather have a complete shutdown. That'll expose MAGA for what they are, because it will be so much devastation. Now, in fact, it is true. Had it been a government shutdown, Trump would have had carte blanche to essentially make cuts as he sees fit as it pertains to the remaining budget that's already in place. That's fine. What that was going to do, expose him or intensify the exposure from what we already been seeing, because he's already been doing cuts that have been unlawful and unconstitutional. So who gives a damn at the end of the day? Let them keep destroying and expose them for what they are. Had it would have been a government shutdown in 30 days time, and this kind of gives me recognition as far as what James Carville said. In 30 days, the Trump regime was going to be in total chaos. Had we would have had a government shutdown, I believe that would have intensified it even more. That's just a fact. But instead, whatever deal was cut with Schumer 24 hours later from Wednesday, now all of a sudden he cool with going along with the CR. Even though the CR does the very thing that he says will happen in the shutdown. This is crazy, man. I don't know what to say about the Democratic Party as a whole. I think it's more telling that this happened as it pertains to the parameters around the leadership of the Democratic Party. I think that's the most telling, because it's clear now that there's no unification in policy when it comes to the Democrats. It's clear as day now. Blame Chuck Schumer for that. So people who do identify as Democrats don't even know where to look toward. You try to look toward Hakeem Jeffries telling Democrats, do this and do that as it pertains to defiance, putting up paddles and so on and so forth, and not raising hell. Indivisible, the Democratic organization, he telling them to stop calling Capitol Hill. You think Schumer is the leader? Schumer sell you out within the span of 24 hours. And shame on the View. I don't know if y'all saw it. For the first time in years, I watched The View today, only to see the Chuck Schumer interview, and I was disappointed because I thought they was gonna grill him, and they did not at all. I was highly disappointed. I'm sad that I DVR'd The View today, because I do not like The View at all. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna watch him today because I thought they was gonna grill him. They didn't do it. I saw a poll came out yesterday about favorability of Democrats. AOC was at the top. Chuck Schumer wasn't even on the list. So that lets you know how people feel about the Democrats right now. Y'all ain't got much time left, man. Y'all ain't got much time left. I think if y'all don't do something radical within the next 6 months, y'all gonna be hung to dry, man. And you know, I might have to go with Venke. It might be time for a third party. It might be time. If it's any window of opportunity, is now. But you know, that's the sad state of the Democrats. Here's another thing. Now let's put our tinfoil hats on. If you notice on Friday, after the Senate debate, well, actually Thursday, when they had Senate debate, a quote unquote filibuster, which really wasn't a filibuster at all. After Chuck Schumer's speech on Thursday, does anybody know what happened to the stock market right after that? The stock market went up. There may be a possibility some type of deal was cut in order to alleviate some pressure off the market. Let's not act like the Democrats ain't got no stake in the stock market. We hear the rumblings of insider trading, this, that, and the fourth. If I had to guess, Chuck Schumer is a big deal with that. So I find it kind of odd that the speculators in the stock market wanted to see some type of stability, even though the CR really don't do that. But at least it gives them a future on what's to come financially transferred public versus private sector. So I kind of find it odd that right after, I'm talking about literally right after Chuck Schumer's speech, just before the stock market was about to close, all of a sudden it just shot up and stabilized. That's kind of odd. You know that, but that's tinfoil hat. I can't prove nothing, but I find it kind of odd. At the end of the day, Democrats need a stable message that can be conveyed to me and you, whether we agree with it or not. I'm not even worried about that right now. All I want to see is a steadfast message. Right now, we don't have it. Blame Chuck Schumer for that. His punk ass canceled his book tour because everybody was buying up tickets ready to get on his ass. And he said, hell no, bump that. I go on The View and CBS Mornings with Gayle King. But other than that, like when it comes to us regular folk, I ain't messing with it. I ain't messing with it at all. So shame on Chuck Schumer, man. Shame on the Democratic Party for not being able to whip some type of position when it came to this CR. And now get ready because things is about to ramp up. We already really seeing it now with the cuts to the DOA that just happened last week. Not DOA, but Department of Education, DOE. We already seeing it happen, folks, in real time. It's only going down from here. So, Chuck Schumer, you are the lame duck for the foreseeable future, in my opinion. You might be up there as golden duck. Right now you at the top of my list because this may have negative outcome for the foreseeable future, for definitely for the remainder of this year, because that CR ain't up until September. So right now you're at the top of my list.
Hey, MD, what did you think about Trump coming out and saying Schumer impressed him and it's good job what he did, blah, blah, blah?
I'm telling you, I again, let me put my tinfoil hat on again. I think Schumer and the MAGA maniacs got in the room and not necessarily sided with the MAGA maniacs, sided with the investors, sided with the donors. These are the people that prop up the Democratic establishment. We know that the stock market has been in the tank for the past 2 weeks, Van Cat.
Oh, three?
Investors go off of stability. That's what they pride themselves on in terms of investing. We know this. I believe Trump, Schumer, and the donor class got in the room on Thursday and told Chuck, hey, look, man, I know you don't like what's going on right now. Hey, damned if you do, damned if you don't. At the end of the day, we got to stabilize these markets. Politics be damned. We got to stabilize these markets. We need for you to come out and get 7 or 8 other Democrats to vote for this CR so we can have the speculators on the stock market be comfortable enough to buy back in to stabilize the market. That's what I think happened. That's what I think happened. Like I said, it's a shot in the dark.
I don't think you're wrong.
But based on what happened, because like I said, right after his speech on Thursday saying that he was going to vote for it, all of a sudden, after the stock market been in the shitter, all of a sudden it rise back up. Nothing else happened throughout the course of the day. So
Yep.
what made it do it? So that's my position, man.
It's a dirty business. All right. So thanks for that, MD. Ricardo, what are your thoughts on this in the closet, out the closet MAGA supporter, Chuck Schumer?
Yeah, I don't even know how to even encapsulate this whole foolishness I'm seeing with the Democratic Party. I think you're literally seeing a fraction happen in front of our eyes right now, and it's very sad to watch. And I've said this from the night after we reviewed the night when Trump did that faux pas speech of his, where that guy stood up with the cane, and that was a pivotal moment where we're like, all right, because even MD was like, if I were them, I would just leave at this point because he's not saying anything that they're going to agree upon. They're flipping paddles and walk out. There's nothing more poignant than you representing the country or half the country and walking out in that moment to say, F it, you know what, this is bullshit. We're just going to walk out. You dare flipping things between truth and lies on a paddle. This whole thing with the Democratic Party, I don't know if it's the antiquation of them or that they've held on to power for so long that they don't know what being an opposition is like. But I don't believe the vanguards are being vanguarding at this point. I think they're just lying down and they're having, the MAGA crowd just ramming through, figuratively speaking, no pun intended, ramming it through on them, and they not doing nothing. I need them to start galvanizing now, or just have this, whatever this is of a Democratic Party, just fizzle and die out and bring in a new party, or there's started a brand new faction of the Democratic Party. I don't know what this is. I'm really perplexed as for what is transpiring here, but it's a little bit on the dangerous side for me, because if this country doesn't have an opposition party, you're literally having, all segments of the government controlled by just, the Republicans. We need something that says every country has an opposition party. Every country you could think of. I just, for the life of me, can't understand why the Democrats can't find a stapled issue or something to zero in on and say, all right, we're all in this together, all for one for all. Let's go. It's this bickering, infighting foolishness that I'm seeing. And then now with Chuck's position of coming out after the fact. Mind you, before we were like, all right, he's not going to do it. We're going to shut down the government. All of a sudden now you come out and you try to save face. Sir, what are you doing? Like, do you even know what to be a leader is like, being a leader anymore? Like, I'm confused why I don't know where his position is. I'm so perplexed. So at this point, I believe, and MD brought up a valid point. It seems to me like, and I was watching the aftermath of all of this, it seems like AOC is now at the position where she could literally just take over. And we've known this for a while, that I think a lot of Americans think she is one of those folks that comes in with great ideas, that she's like a very progressive, have a progressive stance on certain issues. I believe you're going to see now, because the last time I think Pelosi was telling her she needs to sit down and be a good little girl and be quiet. I don't think you're going to see that anymore. I think as you see, we move on or progress more into what is going to be the midterms of 2026, don't be surprised if we see AOC become the forefront or be pushed to the forefront now, especially now that she could get the Latino votes, and she's not really that far off with, the Black votes. So it would be interesting to see the dynamics here between them pushing Schumer out or pushing certain people out now that we know that, a lot of people are going to be leaving before or prior to midterms or after. I think there's a lot of stuff that we're seeing in manifestation now that I need to see start happening now, because if we're going to win until 2026 midterms, this is not going to work out in favor of the Democrats. They need, like Steele said, it's very alarming. Alarm bells should be going off in everybody's mind now. Like, what are we doing? Shut down the government, make Trump administration look weak, and see that the American people see them for what they were, and then all the chips would have fell in place. I don't know what strategies the Democrats are going with right now. I'm so confused, lost in translation. Everything is topsy-turvy. Everything is just not making sense. I will say this, though. I don't know where the Bernie Sanders are. I don't know where Pelosi's are. I don't see none of these people nowadays. All I'm seeing is the AOCs. I'm seeing what's his name, that is the minority leader. And then there's Chuck. I don't know if I'm seeing that much people that I usually would see if they were in power, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. So it's like, it's kind of confusing. I don't know if they're taking a step back. I don't know if it's like an infighting issue going on. I don't know if everybody's setting themselves up to watch the domino effect of people leaving. But I'll say all of this to say, Democrats, and I'm not a Democrat, I'm an independent voter. If you can't figure out where your stances are for the people, what makes the people see the narrative is you seen, Trump is going to get rid of Medicare. They're going to get rid of the school funding for like the underprivileged, meaning like the disability kids, the kids that have disabilities and all of that. That's stuff that gets people thinking. The inflation coming about now because of the tariffs. All of that is what galvanized people. The fact that car sales are going to go go down, plummet because they're taxing steel and aluminum and all this stuff. Why are we not talking about grassroots issues here? We're focusing on infighting nonsense that don't make sense. And I'm not going to babble on and on about this because I've brought this up for the past 2 weeks. Try to be an opposition party. You cannot use the old rule book that you've been using for years since Clinton's administration in the 90s. You can't do that anymore. You throw away the rule book that you've been using all this time and start using the book that MAGA crowd has been using, where they flip everything upside down. Screw whatever everybody else think. Go with what the people want, and you will galvanize the people from there. I don't think they know MD. I don't think they know how to be in opposition anymore. I really don't. I think it's too many old people, and I'm not an ageist by miles here, but I think the party is too old now. I think they're not the type that would walk across the bridge in Mississippi, or I don't think you're gonna see that. I think they're the glamping crowd that you bring somebody to camp, but they'll be like, ew, it's disgusting. I don't deal with dirt, so I'm a glamper. That's what you're seeing now with the Democratic Party. I need them to start being in opposition, start throwing away the old rule book. You cannot be the old people that you were prior to this election. The aftermath of this election now is showing your cards. Y'all are becoming antiquated. Start doing stuff or just form a new party. I'm sorry, but this is not working out. It's bullshit at this point. So I'm sorry, Democrats, but Schumer, well deserved. You're going to be looked at from the legacy point from this point on as the person that really didn't take a mantle and stick it at Trump when it really needed to be there for him to have it. You kind of made this thing a non-factor, and I'm sorry, but I'm not going to waste the rest of TFP for your nonsense. I'm sorry, but that's it.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. Chuck Schumer, major mistake here. Chuck Schumer said that it's a very difficult choice because both choices are really bad. This is probably the easiest decision of all time. The fact that Donald Trump is spiraling out of control from his poll numbers to his economic agenda, everything, he's being seen as a failure at this moment. His own supporters can't lie. His own supporters can't brush this away. And he's lost some support, obviously, with the poll numbers dropping. So you have Trump with airplanes crashing, stock market crashing. You have all this nonsense with people being fired all over the place, creating fear, chaos, and confusion. And you have all this spiraling disaster happening for the Republicans and mainly Donald Trump. And what do you do in a moment where you could add an exclamation mark on how epically bad Donald Trump is? And all you had to do was just don't go and approve the bill that he wants to put through and make those bastards, the Republicans, do the work, do the heavy lifting they need to do because they are the majority, and let them push it through and let them get all the attention on them for what they've done. But instead of doing that, you put attention onto yourself and the Democrats for no reason. This was an easy layup, and we just threw the ball out into the stands for no reason. This was so simple, and all you had to do was do the simplest thing. So the fact that that was difficult, just like MD said, there must be other interests that is around this decision making that is beyond Chuck Schumer. And it's very clear and it's evident. You start to see, just like George Carlin said, the owners of this country told Chuck Schumer what to do. Chuck Schumer don't have a mind of his own. It's clear. It's very clear. So here's the lane. Exactly. It is the progressives versus the establishment. And with every failure, especially recently, the last 2 years or so, every negative that happens against the Democrats, I've noticed a trend of blaming progressives, even though they haven't pushed or been able to be in a prominent position to do anything. But for some reason, progressive always have their heads down. That's it. So, yeah, that's got to change. And hopefully this will put a real spotlight on Chuck Schumer and other, not only on the Democratic side, but on the Republican side, those establishment figures in politics that are not here to do their due diligence and make your life better. They're just going through the motions. And we need less going through the motions politics, and we need to actually get something done here. And Chuck Schumer is never going to get anything done. Neither was Nancy Pelosi. So this is great. So